stop scrolling, because what you're about to see are not just coins. These are hidden treasures. Somewhere in your home, maybe in an old box or even your wallet, you could have 1-cent coins worth anywhere from $5,000 to an unbelievable $500,000. Today, we're revealing 5 rare 1-cent coins, and each one has a shocking value that will leave you speechless. Some are worth $10,000, others $50,000, and one coin has reached nearly $500,000. Collectors go crazy for these coins. And the most shocking part, you might already have one of them. So make sure you watch till the end, because the last coin's value will absolutely shock you, $500,000. Have you ever checked the old coins hiding in your pocket drawer or an old jar at home? You might think they are just small pieces of copper worth almost nothing. But today's story might completely change the way you look at coins forever. Because one tiny coin, the 1935 1-cent coin, has surprised collectors around the world with its hidden value. And I'm not joking. Some of these coins have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars depending on their condition and rare varieties. The coin we are talking about today is the famous 1935 Lincoln Wheat Penny, part of the classic Wheat Penny series that collectors absolutely love. This coin belongs to the historic Lincoln Wheat Cent, a series that ran for almost 50 years and became one of the most iconic coins in American history. The design of this coin is also legendary. On the front side, you will see the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This portrait was created by the talented designer Victor David Brenner, and it was the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real historical person. On the backside, you'll notice 2 beautiful wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. That simple wheat design is why collectors call it the Wheat Penny. Now here is where things get truly interesting. In 1935, millions of these pennies were produced at different mints. The main mint was the Philadelphia Mint, which produced over 245 million coins that year. There were also coins struck at the Denver Mint with a small D mint mark and at the San Francisco Mint with an S mint mark. Most people think that because millions were made, the coin must be worthless. But that is not always true. The real value of a coin depends heavily on its condition and rare mint varieties. For example, a regular worn 1935 wheat penny might be worth only a few cents or maybe $1. But if you are lucky enough to find one in mint condition, things start getting shocking. A beautifully preserved coin graded in high condition can sell for more than $100, and some exceptional coins graded at the very top of the scale have reached several $1,000s at auctions. But the real treasure hunters are searching for the 1935 double die variety. This is a rare minting error where the design was accidentally stamped twice in slightly different positions. When you look closely at the letters or numbers, you may notice a clear doubling effect. If you ever find this kind of error on a 1935 penny, collectors will become very interested. These error coins can be extremely valuable. Another exciting detail is the 1935 S wheat penny from the San Francisco Mint. Because far fewer were made compared to Philadelphia coins, high-grade examples can sell for impressive prices. Some pristine examples have reached hundreds of dollars and continue to increase in value as collectors search for the best pieces. So imagine this situation for a moment. You're cleaning your room, checking an old coin jar, or looking through coins that your grandparents saved years ago. Suddenly, you notice a brown copper coin dated 1935 with 2 wheat stalks on the back. At first, it may seem ordinary. But if it's in excellent condition or contains a rare mint error, that tiny penny could turn into a collector's treasure. Coin collecting is full of stories like this. Ordinary coins sometimes hide extraordinary value. That's why collectors around the world carefully examine every small detail, from mint marks to tiny doubling in the lettering. So before you ignore the old pennies in your pocket, take a closer look. The 1935 wheat penny might just surprise you. Who knows? That little coin could be worth far more than 1 cent. And remember, the next time you see an old coin, don't just spend it, examine it. because sometimes history, rarity, and value are hiding in the smallest places. The 1934 penny is part of the famous Lincoln Wheat Cent series, first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. The front of the coin features the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, while the back shows two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Because of those wheat stalks, collectors often call these coins wheat pennies. Millions of them were produced, but certain conditions and rare variations make some of these coins extremely valuable today. In 1934, the United States Mint produced pennies in three main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark. Denver coins show a small D, and San Francisco coins have a small S. While millions were minted, collectors today search carefully for high-quality examples because condition can dramatically increase the value of a coin. A regular circulated 1934 penny might only be worth a few cents to a few dollars. But here is where things become shocking. If a 1934 penny is found in exceptional condition, known as mint state, its value can jump dramatically. Some high-grade examples have sold for hundreds of dollars at auctions. Collectors pay these prices because coins that survive nearly a century without wear are extremely rare. One of the most exciting discoveries collectors look for is the 1934 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny. The Denver Mint produced a large number of coins that year, but finding one in pristine condition is incredibly difficult. A sharply detailed 1934 D penny with strong red copper color can be worth hundreds or even over $1,000 depending on grading. That is why experienced collectors always examine old wheat pennies carefully before spending them. Another interesting factor that increases the value of a 1934 penny is its color classification. Coin experts divide copper coins into three categories: brown, red-brown, and red. Brown coins have darkened with age, while red coins still show their original bright copper shine. A 1934 penny that still has vibrant red color after nearly 90 years is extremely rare and much more valuable. Errors and unusual features can make a 1934 penny even more exciting. For example, collectors search for off-center strikes, doubled lettering, or unusual die marks. When a coin is struck imperfectly during minting, it can create unique varieties that collectors love. These mint errors turn ordinary pennies into collectible treasures. Imagine going through an old jar of coins from your grandparents and suddenly spotting a wheat penny dated 1934. It might look worn and ordinary, but with a closer look you could discover something special. Checking the mint mark under the date, examining the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, and looking at the coin's color can reveal whether you might be holding something valuable. The story of the 1934 penny is also connected to history. This coin was produced during the Great Depression, one of the most difficult economic periods in American history. At that time, even 1 cent had significant purchasing power, and people relied on every coin they had. Today, holding a 1934 penny is like holding a small piece of history from nearly a century ago. Collectors all around the world continue searching for rare wheat pennies because they combine history, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. The idea that a small coin could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars keeps people checking their change and exploring old coin collections. So the next time you see an old penny with wheat stalks on the back, don't ignore it. Take a closer look at the date. If you see 1934, you might be holding a coin that collectors are still hunting for today. And who knows, that tiny copper coin sitting quietly in your pocket could turn out to be a surprising treasure that shocks everyone who learns its true value. The 1936 Lincoln Wheat Penny was produced during the time when the United States was still recovering from the Great Depression. Millions of coins were made to keep the economy moving, but not all of them were created perfectly. Some of these pennies left the mint with rare minting errors and unique features that today make collectors extremely excited. This coin belongs to the classic Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which is loved by collectors because of its historical importance and beautiful design. The design of the coin features the famous American President Abraham Lincoln on the front. This design was created by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner, and it was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday. On the back of the coin, you can see two wheat stalks, surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. Because of these wheat stalks, collectors often call it the wheat penny. Now here is where things start to get really shocking. While most 1936 pennies are worth only a few cents, certain rare versions of this coin can sell for huge amounts of money. Collectors pay special attention to mint marks. In 1936, the coin was produced at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver have a small D under the date, and coins from San Francisco have a small S. Some of these mint mark versions are much harder to find in perfect condition. But the most exciting discovery for collectors is the rare doubled die error. A famous variety known as the 1936 doubled die obverse penny shows visible doubling on the letters and numbers on the front of the coin. If you look closely at words like liberty or in God we trust, you might notice that the letters appear doubled. This happened because the coin die was mistakenly engraved twice slightly off alignment. At the time, the mint workers did not notice the mistake, so some of these coins entered circulation. Today, collectors search intensely for this error coin because it can be extremely valuable. In average condition, it may sell for hundreds of dollars, but in high-grade condition, it can reach thousands. Professional grading companies like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company have recorded examples selling for impressive prices at auctions. Some collectors even say finding one in circulation would be like discovering hidden treasure. Another factor that can dramatically increase the value of a 1936 penny is its condition. Coins that look shiny, clean, and almost new are called mint state coins. These are extremely desirable because most pennies from the 1930s were heavily used in everyday transactions. A well-preserved coin that avoided scratches, corrosion, or wear can command a much higher price in the collector market. Sometimes collectors also look for unusual color variations. Copper coins like the 1936 wheat penny can appear red, red-brown, or brown, depending on how they aged over time. The bright red coins that kept their original mint color are often the most valuable. That is why serious collectors carefully store their coins in protective holders to preserve their condition. What makes this story even more exciting is that many people still have jars, boxes, or old piggy banks filled with coins that were saved decades ago. Inside those forgotten collections could easily be a valuable 1936 wheat penny waiting to be discovered. People have already reported finding rare pennies in inherited collections, garage sales, and even pocket change. So the next time you see an old penny, don't ignore it. Take a closer look at the date and the details. That tiny copper coin might not just be spare change. It might be a piece of American history and possibly a valuable collector's item. The humble 1936 Lincoln wheat penny proves that sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. For coin hunters and collectors, the thrill of finding one of these rare pennies is what makes the hobby so exciting and addictive. If you ever think that a single penny is completely worthless, then the story of the 1974 Lincoln Memorial Cent might shock you in a way you never expected. I am not joking seriously. Some collectors believe that certain versions of this tiny 1-cent coin could be hiding an incredible value, and the most surprising part is that many people might still have one without even realizing it. Imagine finding a coin in your pocket change that could be worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. It sounds unbelievable, but stories like this are exactly what make coin collecting so exciting. The 1974 penny belongs to the famous American coin series known as the Lincoln Memorial Cent. This design was introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of the birth of the legendary American President Abraham Lincoln. On the front of the coin, you can see the portrait of Lincoln, a design that has been used on the U.S. penny since 1909. On the back, the coin features the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., one of the most recognizable monuments in the United States. But the real mystery of the 1974 penny begins behind the scenes at the United States Mint. During the early 1970s, the government faced a serious economic problem. The price of copper was increasing quickly, and the cost of producing pennies was getting dangerously close to their face value. If copper prices continued rising, the government could actually lose money by making pennies. Because of this situation, the mint began experimenting with alternative metals that might be cheaper and easier to produce. In 1974, one of the most unusual experiments in American coin history took place. The mint created a small number of test coins made from aluminum instead of copper. These coins are known today as the mysterious 1974 aluminum penny. They were lighter, brighter in color, and very different from the traditional copper pennies people were used to seeing. According to historical reports, around 1.5 million aluminum pennies were produced for testing. Government officials and members of Congress were given sample coins to evaluate whether this new metal could work for everyday circulation. At first, the idea seemed promising, because aluminum was cheaper and lighter than copper. However, unexpected problems soon appeared. Vending machine companies complained that aluminum coins might not work properly in their machines. Doctors and medical experts also raised an unusual concern. Aluminum coins could be difficult to detect in X-rays if a child accidentally swallowed one. Because of these concerns, the government decided to cancel the aluminum penny project completely. Once the decision was made, the United States Mint ordered nearly all of the aluminum test coins to be melted down and destroyed. Officials believed every single one had been recovered. But here is where the story becomes truly shocking. Some coin experts believe that a few of these aluminum pennies may have escaped destruction. If even one genuine example still exists outside government control, it could be worth an unbelievable amount of money. Collectors and historians have debated this mystery for decades. One aluminum penny reportedly surfaced years later and created massive excitement among collectors. Experts suggested that if a legally owned example were ever sold at auction, its value could reach hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars because of its extreme rarity and the fascinating story behind it. Even regular 1974 pennies can sometimes be valuable if they contain mint errors. Coin production is a complex process and occasionally mistakes occur. Some coins leave the mint with doubled letters, off-center designs, or unusual metal mixtures. These errors are highly desirable to collectors because they are rare and unique. A well-preserved 1974 error penny could sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the type of mistake and its condition. Another interesting detail about the 1974 penny is the hidden feature on the reverse design. If you look very closely at the Lincoln Memorial on the back of the coin, you can actually see a tiny image of Abraham Lincoln sitting inside the building. This small detail makes the coin special because Lincoln appears on both sides of the penny. Today, millions of 1974 pennies still exist, and most people spend them without giving them a second thought. But coin collectors know that sometimes the most ordinary coins hide the most extraordinary stories. Valuable coins have been discovered in pocket change, coin jars, old piggy banks, and family collections that were forgotten for decades. So the next time you see a simple penny dated 1974, don't ignore it too quickly. Take a closer look, check its color, its weight, and the details of the design. Because somewhere out there, one rare coin could still be waiting to be discovered. And if you happen to find it, that tiny 1-cent coin might turn out to be worth far more than anyone could ever imagine. The 1988 penny belongs to the long-running Lincoln Cent series, one of the most famous coin designs in the history of the United States. On the front of the coin, you see the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This design was originally created by Victor David Brenner and has been used for more than a century. On the back of the 1988 coin, you can see the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., with the words 1 cent and United States of America. This design remained on the penny from 1959 until 2008, making it one of the longest used coin designs ever. In 1988, the United States Mint produced pennies in 3 different facilities. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark. The Denver Mint struck coins with a small letter D under the year. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins with the letter S. At first, these coins appear identical, but collectors know that the smallest difference can turn an ordinary penny into something far more exciting. Most 1988 pennies you find in circulation are worth only their face value. However, the condition of the coin can change everything. Coins that have never been used in circulation and still look almost perfect are called mint state coins. These coins show strong details on Lincoln's face and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. When a 1988 penny survives in very high grade with its original bright copper color, collectors can become very interested. Some high-grade examples have sold for impressive prices because finding perfectly preserved coins from circulation years later is not easy. Another fascinating detail about the 1988 penny is the metal composition. By the 1980s, the United States had already changed the penny's metal from mostly copper to a copper-plated zinc mixture. The coin still looks copper on the outside, but inside it contains mostly zinc. Because of this change, some collectors compare coins from the early 1980s to later ones like 1988 to study differences in weight, color, and minting quality. But the real excitement surrounding the 1988 penny comes from rare varieties and mint errors. One of the most talked about discoveries among collectors is the 1988 penny with a reverse design that actually belongs to the following year. This rare variety is known as the 1988 penny with the 1989 reverse. The difference is very small and difficult to notice unless you examine the details of the Lincoln Memorial carefully. However, when collectors discovered this unusual variety, it created a lot of excitement in the coin community. Because it is so rare, examples of this coin have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on condition. Mint errors can also make a 1988 penny far more valuable. Sometimes coins are struck slightly off-center, leaving part of the design missing. Other times, there may be doubling in the letters or numbers caused by an error in the minting process. There can also be die cracks or unusual marks created by worn minting tools. These mistakes may seem small, but collectors love them because each error coin is unique. Color also plays an important role in determining value. Copper-plated pennies are classified by color into brown, red-brown, and red. Brown coins have darkened over time. Red-brown coins still show some original shine, but the most valuable coins are bright red examples that still have their original mint luster. Finding a fully red 1988 penny decades later is much harder than many people think, which is why collectors are willing to pay higher prices for them. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint are another interesting part of the 1988 penny story. Proof coins are specially made for collectors using polished dies and special striking techniques. These coins have mirror-like surfaces and very sharp details. A perfectly preserved 1988 proof penny can be a beautiful addition to a coin collection. The most exciting part about coin collecting is that valuable coins can appear in the most ordinary places. Many people discover interesting coins while checking old jars of change, coin rolls, or family collections that have been stored for years. A simple penny that looks common might actually be something collectors are searching for. So the next time you see a penny dated 1988, take a closer look before you spend it. Check the mint mark, examine the details of the Lincoln Memorial, and notice the color and condition of the coin. You might discover something special hiding in plain sight. In the world of coin collecting, even the smallest coin can carry a surprising story and sometimes a shocking value that very few people expect.